So, welcome. We're so happy to have students back in the building. It's unreal. It just makes such a difference, and we're all exhausted because we forgot what it was like to have 750 kids in the building at once. But it's been fantastic, and they've been great. I want to do some introductions to start. So, I'm Kevin Harrington, principal here at the high school. And then I'm going to have Garrett and Chris and Tammy introduce themselves real quick. So, Garrett, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Garrett Bridgens, athletic director and assistant principal at Cottage Grove High School, and used to work at Cottage Grove and back after a couple of years away, and couldn't be more excited about it. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Chris Wells. I'm one of the other assistant principals. A lot of familiar faces on here. I taught some of your kids, or my wife's taught some of your kids. So it's great to see you guys here. And I can't believe your students are already seniors. That's a little bit crazy.
And last, I'm the last assistant principal here. My name's Tammy Sandifer, and I'm still getting to know everybody, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks, admin team. And then Lacey, Vicky, and Rex.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lacey Guest. I'm the college and career coordinator, so I'll be working pretty closely with all of your seniors this year as we decide what we're doing after high school. So I'm excited to be here.
And I am Rex Basting. I am the senior counselor, and I will be working with your students. Well, I have for the past 3 years, and this will be the final year.
And I'm Vicki Evans, and I have the 9th and 10th grade this year.
So welcome. To get started, just a couple of housekeeping things that most of you probably already know, but you want to make sure that you're checking your Home Access Center or HACC as much as possible. That's where you can get grades and attendance. And we'll be updating every 3 weeks now with our progress reporting. So those won't all be mailed home, but you'll always find them there. On the school website, I want to click on that just real quickly and show you guys a couple of things that I think you'll find useful, especially in your student senior year. So on our school website, under departments right here, the place that you're going to want to go is the College and Career Counseling Department. And you can see that there's a lot of information in here. So this is where you can get emails and phone numbers for Lacey, Rex, and Vicky, the upcoming events, any college applications, financial aid, scholarship opportunities, job shadows, you name it, you'll find it here. And I know that Lacey in particular will talk about this probably a lot later with some upcoming events and some different nights that we have, but I want to just make sure that you guys had that resource available because it's a good one. And then also each month you'll get a Career Center newsletter that Lacey puts together, and you can always follow the Instagram page. There's a lot of good information on there, and as things come up, she'll send them out on Instagram, and then anything upcoming that she knows about in the future, you'll get in the newsletter. And I think I'm going to turn it over to Rex.
Okay, so this is something that I think most of you, again, have seen numerous times. Starting with at the bottom, not the bottom, middle, is transcripts. And I really want you guys to pay attention to your students' transcripts this year. I know you've already looked at them in the past to make sure your students are on track, but it's really, really important this year to make sure you keep an eye on transcripts and grades. Most of our seniors have enough credits that they're not in any sort of jeopardy of graduation or not graduating, but there are a few that need all their credits. So please keep an eye on that. If you need a copy of a transcript, please let me know. I can email you a copy. If you need an official copy, that would go to our registrar, Mrs. Black. And like Mr. Harrington said, the grade reports, progress reports will be sent out every 3 weeks, but we will mail a transcript home, and we're hoping to do that in the next week or so, just so you guys have an updated copy, but you can get that on Home Access Center as well. Graduation this year, June 10th. If you want to get a head start on your cap and gown, you can order those at minersgrad.com. And we usually will do that in senior seminar, which we'll go over in just a minute as well. But there's a packet. Students like to bring it home so you guys can look at it, because you can order your cap gown, you can order the tassel, or you can order a fancy tassel that's got, what are those called, rhinestones on them, all those fun things. Sweatshirts, t-shirts, sweats that all say, seniors or class of 2022. So keep an eye out for that, or just go to minersgrad.com. And we also like to make sure that everybody has an updated address in our system. And that is just really important, that we can mail stuff home to you guys, and also for schools that people are interested in applying to, you need to have a current address. So if we send something to them and they want to get a hold of you, they have the correct address. So please do make sure all your information is correct. A little farther down the senior project, there will be some sort of senior project this year. We haven't quite settled on it. We were in the process of possibly changing it to make it, I don't want to say easier, but a little bit different. So it's not as challenging for some students to go through. And then, like I mentioned, senior seminar, myself and Ms. Guest will be going into their senior seminar classes. Is it on the next slide, Kevin? Yes. So Ms. Guest and I will be going into senior seminar. So you can see each student will have personal finance, public speaking, and principles of democracy. So each of those is a 1 trimester class. And throughout the year, we will go into those classes about once a week, sometimes every other week, and we will talk to all of the seniors. This is the best way that we can get a hold of all the seniors and talk about graduation. We talk about scholarships. We talk about the FAFSA and applying for financial aid. We talk about all these different things in senior seminar, and it's really, really important that seniors are there for those, because we do a lot of important things in there. We will also have a Google Classroom for senior seminar. So if a student misses a day and they want to see what we did or what we talked about, they can go into the Google Classroom, look at the links, events, and also, like Mr. Harrington showed you earlier, and I think Ms. Guest will talk about, are the scholarships. And there's a whole page on the College and Career website that you can look at the scholarships. And there's a whole list of local scholarships, and then also scholarships that are outside of our school district. So that's a really good place to look for them, is the Google Classroom or on the school's website. All right, next one, please.
Sure, I'm gonna hop in and answer a couple of questions real quick. So questions about graduation on Friday night. So I'll be meeting probably the next week or so with some folks to talk about that. Really, the only reason for it was to try to involve more staff. So it's tentative at best, I would say. It's not carved in stone anywhere. It's on an e-calendar. So with that, and then senior projects, we had a question about the presentation for senior projects, and we haven't quite worked out when that will occur yet.
Okay, thank you. And again, for seniors, especially if they are planning or even thinking about going on to a 2 or 4 year school, it's really important for them to keep up their academic rigor. So for example, if they're in a math class right now, but they only need, let's say, 1 math credit, and they could drop it after the first trimester, they should keep that math class all year long, because it does look better on a transcript. It shows the colleges that they are still working on their academics, that they're not just trying to take a super easy senior year, which not always a bad thing, but if they're interested in college, they should keep up those classes. So a math class, a science class, some of those classes like that, or a foreign language, if they haven't already had 2 years, they should have another year, or they can continue on and do a 3rd or 4th year. But it is important to keep up those classes. The SAT, that's something that you guys may have noticed in the last year or two. The majority of public universities are not requiring students to take the SAT. So that's a big change in the last couple of years. And it kind of started with COVID when they couldn't take the test. But now a lot of them are deciding just to continue that. So they're not required to take it for many schools. If you have a question about that, please look up the school your student is interested in, or better yet, have them look it up and see if the SAT is required. But again, most public universities, it's not required. Some private schools may still require it. And you might also want to check on scholarships. Some scholarships used to be based on your GPA and your SAT scores and things like that. So some schools may require it for scholarships. We will be offering the SAT here at Cottage Grove High School in November and in March. So if they want to sign up for the November SAT, they need to get on the College Board website and register by October 8th. That's the deadline to take the SAT test here in Cottage Grove. If those dates don't work for you, you can sign up at another school. It's usually in Eugene, like Sheldon or Churchill or some of those other bigger Eugene schools. They offer them almost every month. So if one of those dates here doesn't work, look at one of those. And also, as we kind of mentioned earlier about keeping up academic rigor, it is a great idea to take some of our College Now classes where college credit is awarded, so they can get dual credit, meaning they get their high school credit plus credit through LCC. And these are some of the classes that offer college credit. I'm not actually sure if that's all of them, but that's a good list. And I think I will pass it on to Miss Guest now.
Okay, so I'm the college and career coordinator, and so often I end up working mostly with juniors and seniors on next steps. I know a lot of seniors this year are just trying to get back into being in school full time again, and it's a little overwhelming to start thinking about these next steps, but just starting to think about them right now can be a good first step in and of itself. So doing that research, talking to adults, going on field trips and listening to guest speakers this year is a really good idea, especially this first trimester as they try to decide exactly what they're going to pursue after high school. I like to tell students they don't have to know what they're going to do with the rest of their life. They're 17 and 18 years old, and that's a lot of stress. They just need to know what they're ready to do next. We want them to graduate with a next step. And so we have a lot of different research opportunities and in-person and virtual opportunities available for them throughout the year. All of those will be on the website where Mr. Harrington showed you guys under departments, college and career counseling. Under upcoming events, I have all the guest speakers and field trips and things listed there as they come up, along with registration links. Your students will also hear about all of these opportunities over and over again. We will remind them in senior seminar and on the announcements and on Instagram, so it'll be really hard for them to miss. But I urge them to take advantage of these opportunities. Right there on the bottom of the screen on this slide, we've got a few resources listed to do some of that research. Big Future is part of the College Board, which are the folks who run the SAT and AP tests. So this is a good place to go to look up scholarships and to do just some research on careers. We also subscribe to a system called CIS. A lot of your kiddos at this point probably don't remember much about CIS since they've been away from it and away from the building for a couple of years, but they do all have logins and we're happy to help them log on. I use this all of the time. This is such a great resource to find out more about career paths and what you need to do to get there. So whenever I have a student tell me they're interested in biomedical engineering and I have no idea what that is or what it entails, I go to CIS to start the research process with them. So if your student wants to look at a few different options and how to get there, that's a good resource as well. And the links for all of these things will be in their senior seminar Google Classroom. Okay, I think that's it for this slide. Am I doing this one too? Yes, okay. Sorry, so, okay, financial aid. So normally when I'm talking to students about financial aid, I like to bring a bag of candy in because this is a real snooze fest for them. But I think a lot of parents are really interested in hearing more about financial aid options. So whether your student is going into an apprenticeship, into a trade school, community college, four-year university, whatever their higher education aspirations, financial aid is going to be a real asset to them and to you in terms of paying for higher education. So the very first step in accessing any kind of help with paying for college or trade school is to fill out the FAFSA or the ORSA. And the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. So this, some of you may have heard of already if you've got some older students or if you filled it out yourself back in the day. Now it's all online. It's a little more streamlined than it used to be, but it still can be kind of a trying process, putting all of your information in, your tax information, all of that kind of stuff. And so we do offer help to the students to start it in Senior SEM. And then later on this fall, we'll have an in-person, hopefully, if numbers allow, we'll have an in-person FAFSA ORSA help night where you guys can come into the building and we'll help you fill out the FAFSA together because it can be overwhelming, especially if you haven't done it before. So that's kind of the first step to access any kind of financial aid. Some other things listed here to consider. Oregon Promise. I know many of you have probably heard of the Oregon Promise. This is specifically for Oregon high school students who graduate high school with a cumulative GPA of 2.5 or better and who enroll in a community college in the state of Oregon after graduation. So pretty accessible. There's just a few check boxes they have to hit, right? They have to graduate from an Oregon high school. They have to go to an Oregon community college. They have to have that 2.5 GPA. This application is super easy. The student can fill it out without you. It takes them 20 minutes and we will hold their hands and walk them through it in senior seminar class to make sure that they all do this because it's great to go ahead and fill it out. Even if they know for sure that they're heading to a four-year university, it's great to just fill it out just in case they end up at Lane or another community college here in Oregon next year instead. So we have everybody fill that out. And I'm not allowed to tell you it's free community college, but I like to say it's substantially funded community college. So Oregon Promise pays a really big portion of the tuition for students who want to go to community college in Oregon. Okay, and then the 4 years free program for those of you who have students who have a 3.4 high school GPA or higher, and who will meet income requirements. There's a 4 years for free program at each of those 4 universities you see listed there. So they let all of the financial aid come in and then they will pay the rest of the student's tuition. So this is Oregon State, University of Oregon, Portland State University, and Western Oregon all have some version of this. Now, in order to know if your income is eligible, you'll have to first file the FAFSA. If you guys want to talk more about your financial situation or you have some questions about the FAFSA or the 4 years free program, and if you think you'll qualify, feel free to reach out to either the counselors or myself, and we can kind of chat with you one-on-one about that. For those of you who have kiddos who want to leave Oregon, there is something called Western Undergraduate Exchange. So, or WUI, which is kind of an odd acronym, but WUI helps students who are residents of Western states attend out-of-state colleges at a reduced cost. So, for example, if you are a resident of Oregon and you want to go to a school in Colorado or Washington or California, if that school participates in WUI, then the student won't pay in-state tuition because they don't actually live in state in California, but they certainly won't pay out-of-state tuition either. They generally base the numbers on in-state tuition plus a half. So my example is, because math is not my strong suit, if it costs $30,000 to go out of state at that school and $10,000 in-state tuition, your student would pay, so 10 plus a half, so $15,000 instead of that $30,000 of out-of-state tuition. So it is more expensive, but it is substantial savings for those of you looking at sending students out of state. So that's something to keep in mind as well. The last couple things here are savings programs to help you guys save for your students' college education. And it never, ever is too late to save. I started grad school this year and I started my own Oregon College Savings Plan. So it can be done right now. You can take advantage of this They can enroll themselves if they're 18, or you can enroll them for the Oregon College Savings Plan and name them as the beneficiary. And that's a good way to save for all kinds of education expenses, including textbooks and tuition at trade schools, at four-year universities, community colleges, things like that. So it's not just for four-year universities. The last one here, the IDA, this is an individual development account. So again, you have to be income eligible for this, but it's a money match savings program. You can save for all sorts of things, but one of the biggest ones is education. So if your student is able to open an account, if their family is income eligible, and let's say they save $100, the organization that runs the IDA will match it. Sometimes it's a 2-to-1, 3-to-1. Right now it's sitting at a 6-to-1. So for every $100 you save, they will put another $600 in. And there is, of course, a limit on how much you can save, but it is a good way to kind of get a jump on saving for college if you want to go that route. Rex, Vicki, did I miss anything about? Okay. I think this is you then, Vicki.
This is me. So hello, everyone. Again, I'm Vicki Evans, and I've been working with our scholarship program for a number of years. And it's really important that I think students get a good jump on applying for scholarships, because oftentimes the money that they can accrue by filling out scholarship applications, I always tell kids, this is the most money you will ever earn. If you earn $2,000 in scholarship money and it took you 2 hours, you've just now earned $1,000 an hour to fill out those applications. So it's really worth doing that. The way that students get started, there's a couple websites. Again, we refer back to CIS. That's a great way for students to look up scholarship applications. Lacey does a fantastic job on our website of keeping all of the scholarships up to date. And there's kind of a variety or different levels of applications for scholarships. Some will be local, and those are our community donors within Cottage Grove that participate. Could be Elks, could be the Masonic Lodge, could be Kiwanis. A lot of them are extremely generous and have scholarships available to our students. And then if we reach out a little bit farther, there's quite a few in the state of Oregon, not only the county, but the state of Oregon. And some of those might be credit unions like Selco, Northwest Community Credit Union. Others might be your employment, the place that you work may have scholarships. Weyerhaeuser, Starfire, some of those organizations, Peace Health may have scholarships available. State of Oregon has several that are listed for our students. Some have to do with where you're employed, maybe where the student is, their future plans, their future career. And then the last, well, one other spot would be national scholarships. Those sometimes are a little more difficult because the competition is a little bit stiff across the nation. But I have been so pleased because many of our students from Little Cottage Grove have been awarded like the Coca-Cola scholarship, some of the other national ones that have quite a bit of money attached to them. So again, students need to search, and that's the time-consuming part, is to search for those scholarship applications that they feel that they meet the requirements for. And then once they know exactly what school they're going to and they've applied and been accepted to that school, then they want to apply for scholarships at that institution because there's money attached there as well. Our local scholarships begin in January, but students need to be looking on the website that Lacey has set up, and they'll see September, October, November. They'll see what scholarships are available between now and then. Most of the applications for those in Cottage Grove begin in January and they're due in March. So kind of think about that pretty intense season when they need to be filling out applications. As students are filling them out, they need to be really considering what matches them the best. So most applications will ask What have they been involved with in school? You know, a resume or an activity chart. Right now, this is going to be super difficult for your seniors because for the last year and a half, they haven't been able to volunteer. They have not been involved maybe in athletics or extracurricular activities. So I think the personal statement is going to probably weigh a little bit heavier for this particular class. So they need to really hone in their writing skills, maybe have you or their language arts teacher, Lacey, Mr. Basting, have people read over those statements. And they may need letters of recommendation, not always, but as they're filling out their scholarship applications, it's almost like an assembly line. They want to have their resume and activity chart available. They want to have their transcript sitting there, their personal statement, so that they can have this process go pretty quickly and apply for as many scholarships as possible. Some other avenues to maybe look at, if parents have been involved in the military, there's veteran benefits. If students have been involved in the foster care, there's also scholarship applications through DHS and some other agencies. And feel free to ask any of the three of us. We're happy to help you with that. I would caution you though, if you get this really great email saying, hey, for $60, we can, you know, assure that you receive 3 scholarships, you absolutely want to read the fine print, because really what they're saying is they're going to give you 3 scholarship applications, not necessarily that you're guaranteed to get those scholarships. So we don't charge you a thing, all free. Be really careful about giving money out to organizations that say that they can guarantee anything for you. And then the last thing I just wanted to cover, if you could just make sure you have these dates on your calendar. Again, we'll always record them, but sometimes it's easier if you can watch them live so that you can ask questions at that time. On October 13th, we'll have a financial aid night. Perfect timing because the FAFSA opens on October 1st. That's the very beginning of the time that you can fill out that application for the 21-22 school 22-23 school year. Oh my goodness, that's so far into the future. You don't have to have your taxes done, but you just need to have that application started, filled out, get it working. Parent-teacher conferences are in a few weeks, October 20th and 21st. That'll be a great time for you to connect with your students' teachers, make sure they're getting on what they need to do, passing those classes, ask any questions that you have. And then the last one is the FAFSA ORSA Help Night, which is a wonderful time if we're able to meet in person for you to bring any documents that you have. We can help you fill out that application, have one more thing you can check off your list. Okay, and I think that's about it. Anything I missed? Rex, Lacey? Okay.
Awesome. So again, not intended to be a comprehensive view of the senior year, but more of an overview and really paying attention to the upcoming dates. So this time, Rex can stop recording